Yes, we're moving along here. We're already in lesson 7. I hope you're enjoying this series on the AI foundations for building and implementing agentic AI applications that are rock solid and can be built upon. In this lesson 7, we're going to examine logging. That is, what happens at runtime. Logs matter for AI coding because when something goes wrong in production, you can give an AI the logs and ask, what happened? Without showing it any source code. We'll move along and you will see exactly what I mean. To say a picture is worth 1,000 words. As we can see here in this image, an example of what that actually means. We're going to, of course, illustrate this in our code base using VS Code and our terminal views. However, it is good to note in a picture and contrast the difference between taking the time to structure our logs and the chaos that will certainly occur if we don't take the time to do so. If you look at the left-hand side of this image, you will clearly see the chaos that is extremely likely if you are just vibe coding or coding without the guardrails of structured logging. On the right, you can see that logs are structured and thus easy for an AI or a human to examine them, note the state of the operations, and then act upon it in the appropriate way. We will see these things in action. We will watch our code talk. We're starting here with a view of this module in the back end. This is main.py. And we can see main.py, this module creates and configures the fast API application with these things, and we can see structured logging setup here. And so we're going to use that. We're going to use this module for that. You can see also this module does several other things. We can't get into all of these right now. What I'll do, I'll have a brief description, a definition of each one of these in the repo that I have for lesson 7, so you can see those. To go over every one of these right now would be a lesson in and of itself. So we're trying to keep each lesson as short as we can so that you can get in and out. So we're going to move on to the next step. So we're going to need 2 terminals. And we bring those terminals, I'm going to bring these terminals into view here. And one we have already in the back end. But what you're going to do, you're going to have these. Let me just move this back. Okay, you can see I'm in my main directory here. And I'm going to paste this in. And this is going to start my server. Okay, you can see my server is started here. And now we're going to make a request. And I'm going to copy this and just paste it in here. Okay, this is my request. And then, okay, now you can see the response in my server here. And what it's doing is logging the information for this request here. And you can see this is in JSON format. So you have key value pairs along the way here. Hopefully you can see these things in here. Event is the key, object started, that's the value, request ID, key, and this is the value, and so on. So the advantage of this is that now we have a structured log. If there's a problem, we can go back and we can give this log to our AI, and it can go through very quickly and find the problem because it's very structured. If you didn't take the time to set these type of things up, you would have chaos here. You may have some information that's been shown, but it would not be in a format that's easy for the AI and for us as human beings to look at it and see, okay, we can tell what the problems are because we can see here this event, this, for example, if this event is something that we didn't expect, we could see it right away, and so on and so on. If we were in the wrong ID, and so from that perspective, we can see that using structured information is much, much better than having a chaotic situation where you might have the data, all over the place and no real structure to it. We're going to run another request and we're going to look at the log. This one is a little bit more complicated in that we're going to actually create a task. And so we have our request in here. By the way, all of these prompts will be in the repo for lesson 7. So look for them there. So if I run this, okay, yes, we can see the log here. We have the method, the event received. You can see we have an ID here. This is one way that our AI or either us as human beings can look at a particular request because this will always be unique. So this particular request has this, if you look here, this is when it started. This is when it said it's completed right here. And if you look at the ID, it should be exactly the same. You can see the duration, the status code. Don't pay it. Yeah, this is not important right now. It's not an error in our login. It's just a problem with HTTP failed, but that's not important to what we're looking at right now. All we need to be concerned with is looking at the structured logs. We can see that those are working like they're supposed to. Now we have another request here, and we're going to run that request, and then we're going to compare the request ID of one versus the other. So let's run this request, and if we look at the request here, it's one of them. Okay, we can look at the request ID for this particular one. And this is the ID. And if we look at the ID for the next one, you can see that this ID is completely different. So that's the way that we can identify our different requests. And the AI can use these. If we have a problem in a particular request, the AI can find that problem very quickly by honing in on this particular request ID and then looking at the other information in our log to solve the problem. If you didn't have that particular situation, if you didn't have this ID and to identify that particular request, the AI might have to look all over to try to find out what the problem was. Where here we can just narrow it down. Okay, what if we introduce an error in our request? Okay, we're going to request a task here, 99999. That we don't really have a task like that. So we're going to request that just and see what happens. And we can see, hopefully we can see here, where's the level. We have a warning level here versus up here where we add a more straightforward and correct query request. the level was info. So I give you some additional information about what's happening in that particular request. The idea is also going to be different. So we look at this and we say, wait a minute, there's a problem, there's a warning that we maybe need to take heed of. And so the AI will maybe do its thing and look further into what might be the problem, if that problem needs to be repaired or fixed. In this exercise, I've already asked Claude Code to introduce a database connection error. Then I'm going to try to run this request, and we're going to check out our logs. Get into that. See, got quite a bit of return here. And if we go down, go to this level, we're okay. Okay, right here, you can see that there's an error. Level is error. So we have a database, a connection error. Database has failed, which that was the thing I asked Claude Code to introduce. So I'm going to allow Claude Code to fix the problem. And what we're going to do is put the logs in here and ask Claude Code to fix these things from the log. Paste this in. And then we're going to paste the log. This is where it starts. We'll just put all this in. Paste it. And see if it can tell us from the logs what the problem is. We can see everything is back to normal. Claude Code has fixed the problem. The service is back to normal, it says. And then we can test it with this. Let's go to our terminals. I already have it set up here. And I just run it. And we can see here the last entry. Our level should be, okay, all right, it's fixed. We have back to, instead of an error message, we have back to info. So we roll back everything. We got the problem fixed with our logs. And so everything seems to be working great. So that's the end of our demonstrations today. We'll wind up things now. We come to the end of lesson 7. We have seen how structured logging gives us tremendous power in finding problems that might occur in our applications. We use JSON format and key value pairs to register everything that occurs in the execution of our applications. We saw how the level of the logs can give us an indication if there's a problem and also help us diagnose the problems. We saw that each of the requests has its own ID so we can quickly hone in on the problem and fix it. This is important in AI because we can quickly give it direction when problems occur, not have it go off and examine the whole code base where there's a greater chance of hallucinations. Unique IDs, a powerful format like JSON, event patterns, timing information, and other related data are just simply powerful techniques to get our AI focused and completing the task at hand. In lesson 8, We're putting all the guardrails together and building a complete feature from scratch using the guardrails. So don't miss it. Subscribe to the channel. Give this lesson a big thumbs up. Also ring that notification bell so you know exactly when lesson 8 drops. See you then.